let's get down to actual prospecting tactics here. Number one, when you come into contact with people, there are only 4 types of prospects you'll run into. These are what I call your buying archetypes, and we have a slide here for this. So let's say we have 100 people in your sales funnel. The first archetype are those who are your ready buyers, or what I call your buyers in heat. Now, these are the people who are really, really anxious to buy. They're raring to go. They either have some pain they're feeling, or they have a big need for your product that has to be filled right away. They want to buy now, essentially, right? And of course, these are your best buyers. They're your easiest closers, right? Now, second, you have what are called your buyers who are still shopping around, or I like to call them buyers in power. In other words, they want to buy, and they have a need for your product. They're going to buy it. They intend to buy it, but they'll do it when they're good and ready. They're in a state of power. They're not feeling out of control. In fact, they're feeling empowered. Now, out of a group of 100 people, you'd probably have about 30 of those people who are these sort of buyers in power, and maybe about 20 people who are your buyers in heat. So 20 for your buyers in heat and 30 for your buyers in power, okay? Third, you have what I call your looky-loos, and these are the people who are kind of your curiosity seekers, and they're not people who are good buyers. They're sort of the tire kickers of the world. They're going to waste your time, and again, we call them looky-loos in the United States. It's a phrase, they just want to kind of look, and they're never going to buy from you, basically, right? And this is the reason why you might only close 2 or 3 out of 10 people, because actually some of those looky-loos had slipped into your pipeline, and you never had any shot of closing them. In other words, the more unqualified people you have in your pipeline like that, the lower your closing ratio is going to end up being. And lastly, the 4th buying archetype are the people who were simply dragged into your pipeline and would never do it. They've been dragged into a situation where they don't want to be, they're never going to buy from you, they don't want to be there in the first place, right? They were simply just dragged there. Now remember, when you prospect, you are not looking to take these sort of people and put them down the straight line. We want to eliminate them from the pipeline, get them out of the loop as soon as humanly possible. You want them out of your sales funnel. We want to make presentations only to the ones who we actually can close, which are the 2 first groups. Number 1, your buyers in heat, of course, and secondly, your buyers who are in power. So to wrap this first part up, just make sure that you create your sales funnel, create your chart, and start keeping track of your ratios. It's a very, very powerful thing to do. And one last bit of warning here is that when you get these looky-loos in your pipeline, just don't put them in like this suspense file that you might call back one day because maybe they'll change their mind, they'll stop being looky-loos. Just remove those people once and for all, get them out of the pipeline, and focus on calling those people you truly have a shot of closing. Now, let's get specific here about qualifying. There are 3 things that are happening at the same time. First, and I've said this many different times, but let's dig deeper here. We'll talk about identifying needs. One of the biggest mistakes that salespeople make when they're identifying needs is they use their own preconceived notions about what a person might want or what they're thinking. They don't actually let the person talk and tell them what they want, what they need. Now, in fact, I've made this mistake myself. Let me tell you a story here. I got called, okay, I got an opportunity to train at a very, very big company here. I got the call and they wanted to interview me first, which is not that common for me. Typically, I just get booked, right? This is a very big Fortune 500 company. And I spoke to the head of sales and, we started talking. He goes, so Jordan, tell me, what is it that you got? I said, well, listen, I got the most effective close system and blah, blah, blah. Straight line, straight line, straight line, the whole thing. And he's like, oh, wow, great, Jordan. That sounds absolutely terrific. I'll let you know. Never heard back from the people. About 6 months later, I found out through a third party that actually it wasn't that they didn't like the straight line. They were looking for someone to give them more of a leadership seminar, like, inner game stuff, standards and beliefs, right? I was completely flying in the wrong direction. What I should have done was I should have said, well, listen, give me an idea. Tell me exactly what it is you're looking for. I have so many different strategies I teach, different ways of teaching it. Tell me what it is you're looking for. There was 3 or 4 different things. Tell me, number 1, first, your outcome. What would be the most important outcome for you? And then put it back on the prospect and let him tell you what he needs. See, if you actually empower someone to tell you what it is they need, they'll give you the keys to the kingdom. They'll essentially give you what it takes to close them. So the mistake I made that day is I just went on my own map of what someone might need instead of actually what they did need. And the way I would have found that out was by asking the right questions. So that's the number one. Remember, identify those needs, and the way you do that is by asking questions. Remember, salespeople have to be amazing listeners and amazing question askers. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? I'm doing an awful lot of talking right now because it's a training exercise. But if I was selling you anything, trust me, I'd be doing a lot more listening and you'd be doing the talking. Because that's how I find out what it is you need. And then once I do have the information I need, what do? Boom, I tailor my presentation. I essentially laser guide it to exactly fill that need in a very elegant way. And then you look at me like, damn, like this guy really knows, wow, he's on the ball. You get it? That's the higher level of prospecting. So again, the first key of prospecting is to find out what their needs are and, of course, what their whys are as well.